And so that's what I'm thinking right now. I'm thinking, please shoot that gun.
Red flag is up and the gun is going, so you will get your wish, and they are off for the 2017 Men's Division I Cross Country Championship here in Louisville. And we're coming off of an exciting women's race. This men's race could shape up to be just as exciting, if not more. A great individual battle up front, a great team battle between NAU, BYU, and then the teams vying for the top spot just behind them.
And you see the Kenyan trio from Alabama in the white kit already up front there with NAU, and there's Jacob Chogi of Middle Tennessee State. And they're going to go out hard to try to get to this quick funnel within the first 200 or so meters.
This is one of the fastest starting courses that I've raced on. You know, it starts so wide but then narrows so quick. You got to get out.
An interesting note, you see the NAU uniforms there, the blue, white, and yellow. Those new kits were delivered to them last night. Interesting strategy there.
The NAU looks good up there, right? There's 3 NAU kits that I see right there.
Portland has 3 right there. Furman's got a group of 3 as well. You see Colorado here on the left, Stanford and Syracuse, a huge pack of Syracuse right there. And you see Oklahoma State. I think one of our guys, Oklahoma State, Hassan Abdi, who won the Big 12 title, was a favorite for top 10. I think you see him there in the back. Actually was diagnosed with mono before the Big 12 championships. Just said, I want to run, I'll sign papers, whatever I need to do. Went out there, won the conference title, and has been relaxed coming into this. So probably not in his top form, but just a guy with a lot of heart trying to be out there for his team.
And interestingly, the Alabama trio up front haven't really put that big of a push in the early part of the race. They're running just neck and neck with the NAU guys. So be interesting to see how honest they try to make it, if they're trying to start conservative. But right now, everyone is kind of cruising through these first 2.5 minutes.
I see Justin Knight in about 20th place right now. Just kind of relaxed back there. I haven't spotted Grant Fisher quite yet, but got to assume he's near his team. He said, you know, I'm not thinking about an individual title. I'm thinking about what I need to do for my team for us to be successful. And there he is, about probably 30th or so back. Stanford in the black uniforms here today. But NAU 1-2 right now. And Kara, we talked a little bit about this in the women's race, but as an individual title contender, what are you thinking about when you're making your move with the conditions with the wind today?
I think you have to plan it right. You want to be up there so that you can cover the moves, but you got to remember these men especially are running 10,000 meters. It's a long time. You don't want to put yourself out there in the wind gust by yourself and kind of be a target for everyone to run down.
This has got to be a unique situation here for Alabama's Kiprop and Keegan and Jacob Chogi. They're used to being in the front from the start, and having the 2 NAU Lumberjacks right in front of them has got to be kind of a change of thought process of how they're going to approach this race, because normally they're like, hey, it's our race, we're going to go 1, 2, 3 and move on to the next race.
You saw up there in the teal uniform, that was Nadell Wildscutt from Coastal Carolina, a freshman running strong early on. He's up in there in that top 5, surrounded by, it looks like Chogi and the 2 from Alabama. But NAU not afraid to go out hard. I think I read something about Mike Smith saying the guys were ready to roll at regionals and he needed to calm them down a little bit. So they've been chomping at the bit here. He said yesterday he's, through the workouts at altitude up in Flagstaff, they monitored what they've done compared to the team last year, and they're ahead of schedule from what the team was a year ago. So interesting sign. You see there the freshman, Luis Gravaglia, was right there with one of his teammates. And this pack coming around a bend. See a group of Texas guys there in the back.
Well, you can kind of see the congestion of that pack, as you get back into the 40s, 50s, 60s in there too. And up front, where it's not stringing out per se, but there's a lot more separation coming on up there. This is when you have to start being mindful,
I will say, I see Justin Knight has made his way from about 20th up to the front of that group that's starting to break from the top 5, and so he's trying to close that gap and stay within contact.
And I was looking at that team battle, something that I saw in that back of the pack, I saw NAU's Corey Glines. He's a senior. He's been dealing with some injuries. We thought he would come on strong late in the season and be in their top 5, but he's almost dead last. So NAU is pretty much running with 6 guys right now instead of 7.
But I see two of them that are doing okay.
They're doing okay, yeah.
And we saw those two low sticks come through for New Mexico. You know, in a close team battle, they had 2 in the top 7, with Kurgat winning and Kaladi, the freshman, up there. But as we come through our first splits, we do see they'll be coming up on 2K in a moment. And so right now, it looks like it's Keegan who's overtaken the NAU duo, and they'll go through 2K in about 5:39. So it's Keegan, Day, and Baxter, followed by Vincent Kiprop, Jacob Chogi. You see there, that's your top 5, all within a second. Justin Knight in 6, Karui of Iona, Wildscut in 8th, and Rotich of Tulane in 9th. Rotich, such an interesting story because this year and last year he ran the B races at Prenats and won both of them. Went to NCAAs last year, finished 40th, got an All-American spot, and did the same this year. Now he's running in the top 10. So,
and I have an update on that Corey Gline situation. He actually fell. A bunch of guys fell at the 600-meter mark, so that's why some of the top guys are in the back of the pack early on. And based on that, these are the updated team scores.
And with that, NAU leads right now by 32 points, 151 to Portland's 183. So Portland running really strong. Watch out for the purple of the Pilots. And Syracuse in 3rd at 219, BYU at 239, Colorado State at 247. Colorado State, a team ranked in that top 10. But Jared, BYU in 4th right now. What do they have to do to close that gap?
You know, they got to be consistent. That 540 opening 2K split is not paltry. You know, these guys got out to a reasonable pace, I think, given the conditions here, and looking at guys, you know, just moving up in race. 10K is a long way.
You see that the lead pack starting to break a little bit. I think that's from Colorado.
Eduardo.
I'd say your top frosh prediction there. So he's in good position. But in that group, Grant Fisher is he might be just behind or near Joe Klecker there.
Yeah, he's in that second group, in that middle of the group. He's not leading the group. He's in the back, so about 20th or 30th place.
Saw Peter Lamong. There's 3 NAU right there, really close together. So Virginia Tech, a few guys. Looks like San Abdi moved up there for quite a bit from Oklahoma State. So
he must have been part of that fall.
Watching these guys come through, you can just see how every point counts. You can't let anyone pass you. And they're so bunched and so close. 1 second could be 5 places.
This is interesting right here. No Grant Fisher in this lead group. When is he going to make the break? Is he going to make the break? I know he's saying team first, but for his team to be close to first, he's got to be in that pack. They need him to be low stick.
Yeah, it's still early on in the race, just over 8 minutes, but you would think he would be a part of that group of 20 instead of the second chase pack, because he doesn't want to have to run by himself to get up to that front group.
But you also notice in this front pace pack, there's not been a lot of lead changes. You know, it seems like a lot of those guys are very content. You know, they want to be in the front, but they're content where they're at.
Portland's got 2 in that lead pack right now, so in really, really good position for the Pilots to get on that podium.
And it is a long race. It's not an 8K, it's not a 5K, it's a 10K, so lots of time to really find yourself and get in good position for that final K, which we have seen lots of changes happen in that final 800 or so meters.
You know, some of these athletes are out giving their coaches heart attack with that separation.
Portland in 2nd right now. They've been to the championships. This is their 18th time. They were 13th last year. They didn't actually make the meet 2 years ago when it was in Louisville. So, they came into the season in a position they felt was way underrated. So they've proven themselves throughout the season, and really this is the time for them to show how good they are. And I mentioned to you guys earlier, I kind of look at them as the Syracuse of old, trying to prove doubters wrong and say, hey, we belong in the conversation with the schools that are in the hunt for this title.
Day and Baxter looking good, still up front, running neck and neck with Keegan, who won the South region. Justin Knight sitting there in that front pack. All the big Flow XC ranked dogs up front. And no Grant Fisher, though. Where is Grant Fisher?
Grant Fisher, we should be able to see him here in that pack, right in the middle to the left. He's next to Illinois. So NAU's got 3 right there. NAU's in a really tough position to be beaten here. Here's 2 Portland Pilots. So they are back there. I based on their score, that may be their 4 and 5. Seen a bunch of Furman come through, so still looking pretty good.
There's all the
for them.
Oregon.
Oregon, a big pack. So let's see if they can move up.
See, that's Corey Glines
Gline.
moving up, so he was part of that fall. And it's a matter of who else was with that fall. I'm assuming Hassan Abdi as well. Coming up on 11 minutes through the race, about 10:44 right now.
And that front has not changed much. NAU with the 2, Arkansas with the 2, or sorry, excuse me, Alabama with the 2. I think Campbell's got 2 in that pack. All guys that could really mix up that top 10. Chogi there, brother of Augustine Chogi, the 329, 1,500-meter runner. I think a world junior champ, medalist indoors.
He's got some speed in his jeans.
Yep. And there you go, a move made now by Alabama.
See, and this is where if you're in that second pack, you have to be aware enough to recognize this front move happening. There hasn't been a lot of move over the last few minutes in separation, but you have to be able to be close enough to see that. And so I think watch for hopefully not complacency from guys in that next pack that want to be a part of this.
And this is a hard move by Keegan right here. As it's very early in the race, only about a third into the race, and he's wanted to run his own pace as they're coming up on a split timer, and we'll be getting some unofficial splits here. And Keegan, 11:37, Day, 11:38, Kiprop. Then Karui of Iona having a great run so far. Baxter, Knight, Wiltshut, Kipkowick, and Kemboy. So the 2 Campbell boys sitting in 8-9.
Individual splits mean team scores are coming our way pretty soon. So
Well, and you've noticed his pace is slowed too. They were 5:40-ish through the first, and so we've slowed down about 10 seconds a K for those second 2K.
And just looking
Keegan
out,
had enough.
it looks like that wind has really picked up, and we're getting some team scores in, and things are changing. NAU still in the lead, 91 points, but moving up into second. BYU at 135, Portland at 149, tied with the same score as Colorado State, but they have Portland in 3, Colorado State in 4, running unbelievably. So 5 right now is Stanford, 6 is Colorado, so they've moved up a little bit. Syracuse in 7th, Arkansas 8th, and Iona in 9th currently. So there you see them on your screen. 44 points to be made up here, but we got about 6K to go. So now we have a lot of time. Keegan making that press. His teammate.
To see Fisher in that front chase pack now, as he's still nowhere to be seen. There he is, I guess, with all these BYU guys.
Yep.
But Fisher, if he wants to be in the individual title chase, he's got to make a move sooner or later.
So what are you seeing with the position for BYU 1 and 2 right there?
I think they've been patient and continue to move up. It seems like this pack, this lead pack is content to let Keegan put a little bit of ground on, and I think that bodes well for teams trying to move up. They're just everyone's being patient, and a lot of race left. Be interesting to see, at what point, Keegan's strong enough to run up there, and he's proven that, and it'll be interesting to see at what point this chase pack respects the distance that he's put there.
In the press conference, they had Vincent Kiprop in there, not Keegan, so I wonder, what Keegan's thinking. They say, hey, they think my teammate's better than me. I'm going to show everyone actually settle the score today, but we'll see if Kiprop tries to move up with him. But right now, he is definitely making a push. And Kara, talking about when to make that move in a 10K, does it feel too early?
It's hard to say unless you're in his mind, right? I'm a little nervous for him, but you have to make that decision. It's your decision when you're out there, how you're feeling. They've gone around now once they know where the winds are, and he must be feeling confident that he can string it out for 5 more K.
Is this a place? Are we far enough out where you can kind of settle back in, regroup with the pack, or is that showing a sign of weakness?
I mean, if I'd made this move, it's over now. There's no going back, because then I feel like I am giving everybody hope that I am not as strong as I was trying to be. So I feel like when you make a move like this, you got to be fully committed now from till the end. I would not want to drop back at this point.
So he's going to battle that win on his own, and we talked to some folks on the finish earlier today, and they said based on the direction of the wind, runners are running into the wind over that last 200 meters. So just something to keep in mind when we watch that finish later. But great perspective of how much this lead has developed here in just the last couple minutes, and Alabama still with 2 in the top 4. NAU still up there. And things starting to string out a little bit. See BYU in that second pack. Syracuse being led by Justin Knight with the first chase pack behind Keegan here.
And now they're going to be coming down the home stretch.
And those leaves are moving, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And the fans are going to get to see them come through the finish line area when they go out for a second loop.
Karuri from Iona running really well right now. But yeah, this is a great shot of how things are currently looking. Grant Fisher in the middle of that pack looks content to stay there. Peter Lamong, look at him.
It's almost as if Fisher thinks that is the front pack.
Then there you got Stanford there behind him, another one. NAU, that's 6 right there. So Portland, I've seen maybe 4. That might be 5 for Portland. BYU.
4-5 there. That's Young there. Young and Kearney.
And Oregon, it'll be interesting to see how they end up here, but they got a great pack together. They could move up together throughout the second half and really make up some ground. It looks like Blake Haney leading that group right now.
The men's race is so different with that extra 4 kilometers. The women's race at this point, you're over if you haven't moved up by now, but they still do have so much more time, so many more minutes on the clock.
And we'll see here in a minute them come through the finish area and go pass back around for that second loop. But Keegan with a big lead. NAU 3 in your picture right now. Jared, I know you got some butterflies in the stomach. What are you feeling right now for the BYU guys?
Well, you're running strong, and just like Kara was saying, it's hard to know without being in all of these guys' minds. NAU certainly has put themselves in an awesome position, and if they're feeling good, they've put themselves in a position to take care of business. But a lot of race left, and so we just have to wait and see if people are where they should be, or if we've spread ourselves a little too thin.
And the pack coming through. Now Stanford's number 2. There's Rory Linkletter, guy we thought might lead them today, who's back a little bit. Looks like Rory might be sitting 3 or 4.
Right. We got number 3. Casey Klinger up there and McMillan up there. The Rory's sitting in this number 3 spot, and a couple of guys back. They certainly need to move up.
Looks like Klecker's having a bad day.
So Klecker back there behind one of his teammates. And was that Herrera? Mm-hmm. Was up there early. You see in the lower section of your screen, Keegan continuing to press here, taking that advice from Kara Goucher. That move, when you make it, no turning back at this point.
No.
But it looks like they may be catching a little bit here.
I mean, this mentally would be devastating, I feel like, if they caught him back now for him. He's got to keep that distance.
You see them trying to maneuver through some of the soft ground. How in the second half of the race, how important is the footing on a soft course like this?
Just takes away all of your momentum. I feel like when the grass gets soft, you don't get anything for free. You have to work for every single step, and so it favors strong runners at the end of the race, and you have to be powering into that ground. I
have noticed the 2 NAU guys have been choosing their footing wisely the whole time. They've gone out a little bit here and there to make sure they've run on more smooth, harder pack surface. So hopefully that saves them for later in the race.
They're lumberjacks.
Yeah, you know what they're doing.
I'm looking at the faces. A lot of these guys coming through the finish line shoot. There's tired. They're tired on their face. You can tell.
Yeah,
it's windy out there.
There's a lot of wind, and for a 10K, having to go run this loop again and then finish into that wind, we're definitely going to see some fatigue.
And they've been running fast.
Contact made with the leader. Keegan showing some weakness here, and the guy who's been very patient this whole time has been Justin Knight. Has not pressed for the lead, has just sat back and let these guys kind of change the lead into the wind, and got to think he's in great position to do something special here.
Well, it's just that that pace at the start for this ground and this wind, I think, was a hot pace. And so for those that have been patient but mindful enough to keep them in contact, eyeing Justin Knight out there, he's moved up, I think, very smart.
And this is a lot of experience you're seeing from him. He knew early on it was too hot. He knew it was too hot to keep up for that long. He didn't panic about the breakaway, and now he's put himself in a great position to come down for the kick.
And experience is, I think, a key for him. He came into college a pretty inexperienced runner, having only run for a year and a half. Finished 143rd at his first NCAA championships. The next year finishes 4th. Last year finishes 2nd. And now, there's only one place to go up from there. And I know he's been looking to get that title. Would be his first NCAA title after a handful of All-Americans. So Knight beat last year in the outdoor 5K by Fisher. Fisher not in the picture right now. And Kiprop, the teammate of Keegan, dropping for Alabama. Looks like he may get swallowed up in that chase group here momentarily. But I'm very impressed with these two NAUs up front right now.
Baxter and Day, you're starting to respect their position in this race. They went out there from the gun, and they're still powering in that front spot. NAU 3 coming right on.
I mean, can we talk about Peter Lamong real quick? And there's Grant Fisher moving up with him. But Gordon, any idea that you would see Peter Lamong in the top 10?
Yeah, Peter Lamong, you look at as an 800-meter runner in some respects, and he is in the top 10 right now this late in the race. That is incredible. I mean, he has some great genes, as we know. Lopez Lamong, one of the greats during his collegiate days. And there's Rory Linkletter. Fisher, though, has done well as moving up, but there's still some big gap that you would need to catch up with the Knight, Day, and Baxter.
NAU there with two coming in, and man, that's 4. Yeah, it's breaking away. So Grant Fisher starting to make moves behind them and moving up there with Peter Lamong. So right now, NAU 3 in the top 10. Not something I think most people would have predicted, especially with Lamong being that 3rd. So unbelievable run right now for him, and a guy that's really, really, I don't even think he made the trip with the team last year in terms of competing in the top 7. So this is now 22 minutes in. We're looking at probably less than 8 minutes to go in this race.
Oh, I'm itching for some team score splits. That's what I want to see.
We'll be getting them soon here as NAU 1-2 lead with Knight and Keegan behind them.
This is when it gets so fun to watch, too. I mean, these guys, there's that split mat. We'll wait for those to pop up here. But, almost everybody's hurting right now. And this is where cross country gets cool. We see who digs down, who can do this, and watch these times coming up.
You see, Kara, you see what I see?
Yeah, Grant Fisher is moving hard. He's coming.
So we thought he might be out of it. When you're talking about positioning in conditions like today with the wind, even Keegan now, he suffered from that lead. He kind of took the brunt of it for a while. But Fisher, did he time it well enough to get back in contention with that lead group? It looks like this curve really is telling. He's sitting with that group of guys right there. That's your top 9 runners.
And when you're in this position, do you ever try to make a break from that chase pack? What should Fisher do if you were Fisher right now? Knowing your abilities and knowing that if you're in the race with these guys up front, you could outkick them. But do you make the risk of going by yourself to move up?
Well, he's talked about how he's a team player too, and the reality is, the finishes, what he'd be gambling is minimal compared to what he might lose for the team there. But I think he's got to start moving up as he's feeling good.
So it's about 12 seconds or 11 seconds back from the leaders is where Fisher is, as he's currently tied for 5th with Kiprop.
Yep, and Kip Koech of Campbell in that pack, and Dylan Maggart of Utah State finished 12th last year, running 9th right now. So you see that 1-2 duo of Day and Baxter right there with Knight.
They look like they've been out on a tempo run this whole time.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah, they have looked great, honestly.
I'm really, really impressed with these guys.
But for a Fisher or anyone in that backpack, we're knocking on the door of a mile to go here in a little bit. They got to be moving. 10 seconds in a mile is a significant amount to make up.
And now it's 3 broken away. Keegan is definitely off this group and working his way backwards, probably unintentionally, to that chase pack.
And you gotta like where Knight is, because he has the kick. But looking at team scores.
Team score is updated right now. NAU continues to improve their position, 68 points. They were at 91 at the last split. BYU in second at 165, and on their heels, Portland at 169. Then a little bit ways back, the battle for the last podium spot is between Colorado State at 208, Stanford at 222, and Colorado at 292. Iowa State is 7th right now at 318, Arkansas 328, tied with Southern Utah. So Southern Utah looking for their best finish in school history, having only made this meet a few times. And there you go, your scores. You see those runners. And Gordon, you mentioned some of the fatigue you saw on the face. You see it a little bit here. People gasping for breath, fighting that wind, and trying to fight for their team over what's about probably 2K to go, or less than 2K to go at this point.
I mean, this NAU is strong. You know, then the team score reflects what we're seeing here. I mean, they just look so powerful. But this is cool for, you know, a Colorado State team, you know, that we watched kind of pop out early, and they're still holding in a fourth here. You know, those podium spots up for grabs.
About 3 minutes of running left, and I got Justin Knight is just off this pack. Kara, do you think he's hurting, or do you think he's just trying to make it feel like that he's not right on them and surprise them here in a moment?
I don't think he's hurting. I think he's planning this just right. But these guys have been very impressive. But I think he's just kind of waiting till the last minute till he sees it, he feels it, and he knows it's locked up.
He's a guy that's run 3:39 for 1,500 meters. So in terms of speed, he's got it on these guys. Day has run in the books 3:55. So, and Baxter 3:45. So definitely Knight's got the wheels if he's there, and he's right in contention right now. These guys looks like they're starting to press. Knight has his eyes going up, glancing up, looking at their backs, trying to stay close. And there you see one of the assistant coaches trying to give him last words of encouragement. This is yours. This is yours.
You know, he looks in control. You know, and you watch this space coming on, but he looks in control.
And now in the lead, Gordon.
Yeah, Matthew Baxter, he was one of the top guys last year out of New Zealand, ran well. He's a senior, and he's now making a move here over Tyler Day. And Knight's going to have to respond if he wants to move up with Baxter. But Knight's kind of letting Baxter control this and not really moving up just yet. Again, but you got to remember, Knight's going to put on a huge kick in that final 400 meters. And he should, if he can maintain 5 meters of contact, he should be able to close.
They're about less than a half mile away, and they're all into the wind from this point on. You can see the jerseys blowing back to the right sides of these athletes, and there you go. There's your top 6 now. Maggart running a great one. Look at, he's smiling. He knows he's doing something special today. And Fisher, the guy we usually see smiling, has a little hurt on his face, and he's got to fight for that Stanford team. But up front, Baxter is controlling this race, and it looks like Knight's starting to make his move, Kara.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really impressed by Baxter. He is going for it. He's not holding back, but I don't think that Knight has conceded it yet. But he might want to close that gap. We're getting down to it.
I think, you know, obviously unofficial, but it might be safe to say NAU is going to take this team battle. So right now, it's about the individual battle. Are they going to do what New Mexico did and take the individual champ and the team champ and pull an upset here on Justin Knight? The arms are starting to move on Mr. Knight, so watch out. Second a year ago, he wants to win this. Baxter trying to lead not only for his team, but now for himself. Day there in third, and it's going to be a fight to the line, and Justin Knight takes the lead. It's less than about 150 meters to go, and Justin Knight looks like he might win his first NCAA title, taking it in front of the crowd here in Louisville, looking over his shoulder. Baxter, an unbelievable run, 11th a year ago, but it's all Justin Knight to the finish line for the Syracuse Orange, and he's going to be your 2017 Division I NCAA champ.
And NAU goes 2-3. Hell of a finish there for Baxter and Day. Here comes Kiprop and Fisher. Keegan and Fisher. And Keegan's going to out-kick Fisher. Maggard takes 6th. And it's about, oh, look at this, Peter Lamong.
Wow. 7th for Kiprop here. And Lamong, man, we might have to give him runner of the day. What a surprise here for Peter Lamong of NAU. A top 10 finish. 3 in the top 8 for the Lumberjack. He is excited. Campbell's got one in there. And now the masses start coming in, and this will shape up the 2, 3, 4, the podium spots. There you go with Georgetown and Portland. Ole Miss, Arkansas. It looked like Jack Bruce there.
Stanford has 3.
Stanford now 3.
I saw Portland's got 2. There's Portland's 3.
There's BYU's 1 with Casey Klinger.
No, and there's 2 and 3 coming in for BYU. NAU's got a 5.
So NAU looks to have secured this title.
6 for NAU there. Oregon's now got a couple coming in. BYU another. Looks like their 5 are close.
Portland has their 5 in. So Portland might have sneaked up into the 2nd position. BYU now has their 5 in. Again, everything's unofficial.
we can safely say, even without the official marks, NAU is going to be your team champs, and 3 in the top 8. Unbelievable performance for the Lumberjacks. It's looking like it might be over 50-point victory as we see a crew of Oregon now streaming in. These guys fatigued and happy. It looks like Blake Haney almost wants to smile that he's done there. But all coming in. Iowa State's got a few cross at the line there. NAU looks like that's their 7th.
And we're thinking Stanford may have sneaked into the podium with a 4th place finish right behind BYU. Arkansas currently unofficially 5th. Oregon 6. Iowa State 7. Colorado 8. Colorado State 9.
So it looks like the unofficial scores right now: NAU 74 points, Portland 128 points, BYU 165 points. So BYU stayed about where they were. Portland moved up. Stanford 220, and then Arkansas, great showing here at 258. Oregon moved up great as well, 274. Iowa State, Colorado State. But we're standing there on the finish line with our champ, Justin Knight, with Taylor Dutch.
All right, I'm here with NCAA champion Justin Knight. Justin, you kept us on the edge of our seats in that finish. You are an NCAA champion now. How do you feel?
I feel fantastic. I think, there's something I've been striving for ever since I started running, and I realized I could, make an impact in NCAA. Just to have my names up there with the greats and to know that they moved on to do bigger and better things, it just really means a lot to me. And, my parents came out to see me. Whenever they come out, I have a great race, and I'm just really thankful to make them proud, and my coaches.
And that top group, there was so much going on throughout the whole race, a lot of surges, a lot of people coming back. What was going through your mind, and from your perspective, how did that play out?
Oh, man, it was my first time racing the Alabama boys, so, I never knew what was going to happen. I knew that NAU guys are serious guys, their coach has done a phenomenal job, both of them, the one that just left. And I just knew that I had to keep myself in it. I was cramping up like 4K in, but I knew that I'd look back at this moment and say, if I could just suck it up, then I wish that things could change, and I didn't want that to be my experience here.
And you really sucked it up, and coming into that last finish, the Northern Arizona guys were ahead of you. What was going through your mind knowing that you had just that much more to go, and how did you outkick them?
To be honest, today I didn't know how much I had left because I was a little bit off. As I said, I was cramping up, but those guys are not guys to play around with. I knew that they were strong, and I couldn't just sit on them. They've seen me race, I've seen them race, and I just knew I had to keep myself as close as possible and try to close the gap.
And you've been so close for so many years to finally have that title. How does it feel?
That's just something that no one could ever take away from me. Being an NCAA champ, as you said, I've come really close too many times to count, but it's just really heartwarming to accomplish it. Do it for the program, the school, the name that I'm given, Justin Knight, it means a lot.
Awesome. Well, congratulations. Back to you guys.
Thank you again, Taylor.
So your champ there, Justin Knight,